All right, there we go.
Straight shooters, all troopers. Me and the guys ain't never been losers. See a nice little thing, we pursue her. See a nice little, yeah. I'm moving with a purpose, bigger than a service. You can never, even if you rehearse this, we own it. Yeah, hurts it.
Tap in, tap in. Tell a friend and tell a friend.
All we do is impress. Put the work in, never mind all the stress. And you don't mind tests when you better than the rest. OG 101, it was all in the prep. Yeah, we some legends in the game. If you're scared to embrace it, then how you gonna change? Yeah, everyone wanna range, but the value that you bring, little boy, smart change. I'm just saying, that's life, man. You control your destiny simply with your mind frame. You go hard from the gate, every day, clean slate. And patience is a privilege, I ain't got so I wait. OG, big fish. We the ones that you wanna get with. Took a couple L's, rung a couple bells. Real ones, too legit for Cointella. Straight shooters, all troopers. Me and the
Big
guys
guys.
ain't never been losers. See a nice little thing, we pursue her. See a nice little thing, we pursue her. Yeah, yeah.
Big fish. OG. As you can see, we are officially getting up out of here. We're gonna be in Miami, baby. It's gonna be a Miami thing. So we are moving out. So that's why the background looks like this. I took all the pictures, getting ready to move down, drive down. Yeah. Oh, let me turn this off. All right. So today's gonna be a little bit of a different show. Today is going to be a little bit of a different show. Why? Because it's needed. All right. So for the first few minutes, all we're gonna do is go through some positive affirmations. All right, we're going to start the day off with a positive affirmation before we get into any of these conversations. Why? Because I think it's necessary. Now, if I can find our positive affirmation, then that'll help. But yeah, how you guys feeling? Obviously, with things that happened over the weekend, things seem to be real tense. Things seem to be all over the place. So like I said, we're going to start off today with a positive affirmation, a little bit different than normal. Yeah, I just think it's needed. And then we will get into all of this conversation. But I want to make sure that we're starting off our day right. And I'm making sure that I'm putting myself in the right mindset, because even when I have these conversations about this topic, it can become a little bit passionate, and we want to make sure that it's as balanced as possible, whatever that means. All right, so let's get into this positive affirmation. If you are in a place, do this. If you're in a safe place where you can close your eyes, try that. If you're not in a place where you can close your eyes, just ride it out. Just listen to the words, embrace the words. You can repeat the words, do whatever is necessary for you. But this is how we're starting off our day. All right, so I'm going to put it on the screen, and I'll check back in with you all in about 11 minutes and 37 seconds. I hope y'all enjoy. Welcome to your new beginning. No matter where you are mentally right now, embrace it. We don't need to fight it. We need to accept it with honesty and being 100% real with ourselves, with the understanding that no matter who, what, and where we currently are, we can very easily be somewhere else. Just like we can be in Newark, New Jersey at 3 p.m., but only a few hours later be on a tropical island, we can do the same mentally, and it doesn't have to take 3 hours. But you have to go beyond thinking this or believing it. We have to know it. So now we have two things: a realistic understanding of where we currently are, and knowing that in an instant, we can be somewhere totally different. The most amazing part of all this is we're the ones that decide where we will be. It has always been this way, and it will always be this way, whether we are aware of it or not. Our reality is simply a representation of our thoughts. Everything we experience in the physical is projected by our mental. So getting back to us deciding where we will be. We may think it takes time, but why? How many times have you been in an amazing mood and then get hit with some bad news, or somebody in the next car cuts you off and you snap immediately? Well, why can't it go the other way? instantly going from a negative mood to a positive. It may seem difficult, but that's simply because of the unknown that comes along with changing any of our habits. We do things for so long one way that it's intimidating to know and/or accept another way. But difficult and intimidating are relative and simply things we conjure up in our own underperforming minds. And I don't mean to offend you. It's just a reality that we are not tapping into our greatest potential. Let's be real. If we were, we probably wouldn't be sitting here now. However, the great thing about it is we are sitting here, which means we actually want to elevate and grow. So first things first, are you familiar with the two most powerful words known to mankind? I am. The phrase I am is the first step to directing our minds and/or subconscious. Think about it almost as putting our speaker in pairing mode. Without pairing mode, a speaker can't connect to the right device. It opens up the speaker to accepting a new energy and/or frequency. Now, whether that's our phone, the TV, our computer, or a tablet, it's up to us to decide. Just like the speaker, we get to choose what frequency and/or energies we connect to. This determines what will now be used as the input into our subconscious mind or the speaker, and will then determine what's the frequency and/or energies being sent out to the universe, or in the speaker's case, the output. The output determines what frequency and/or energies come back to us, no different than how the output we speak can determine the energy that comes back to us based on our tone and the words we say. So we can now know and accept that we control what comes our way by simply controlling our thoughts. So what kind of world do we want to create for ourselves? What kind of world do we want to create for our families and loved ones? Our imagination is the key to unlocking everything. Do not be a slave to the current lack of depth in your thoughts. Do not be a victim to your current reality. Stop dwelling on the past and let's make a decision right now to start painting the canvas for our future. All that matters is what we decide to do now. We can change the narrative of the past, and we control the reality of what the future will become. Think about what success looks like for you. Is it reachable? But before you answer that, think about the last few things you prayed and asked God for. Really think about them. Now answer this. Which one of those things could you not make happen on your own or by building the right team around you? Most people pray for more money, more opportunities, a better physique, more women and/or men to choose from, etc. Well, please tell me which one of those things we can't control. The answer is none of them. Everything is in our control, once we accept it is. We tend to act as if the universe and/or God is leading us. But in all actuality, we are giving God and the universe direction. Think about the common translation of James, chapter 2, verses 14 to 26, that faith without work is dead. This means that God and/or the universe is moved by our work, not the other way around. But isn't this how it should be? Think about it. If it was any other way, wouldn't that be God showing favoritism? Now, you may not fully understand or like what I just said, but give yourself a couple seconds to think about it. In this universe, energy makes things happen. The energy that is manifested in our subconscious eventually comes to fruition in the physical form of our reality. Think about your energy. How is it right now? Is it leading you to your goals or keeping you away from them? What are some areas we can make improvements? This is where the magic happens. Change only comes with change. Let's start with changing our mindset and how we are programming our subconscious. So let me ask again, what does success look like for you? But this time, I want you to put a scent to it and imagine what it smells like. What does it feel like? Who's around? How does the food taste? How does the champagne taste that we are toasting our success to? Or maybe your favorite latte or tea. You should be smiling right now. The more you embrace it, the realer it feels. And the realer it feels, the more our minds will move accordingly. That strong feeling will eventually go from thinking and believing to knowing. And then knowing will lead to acceptance. Accepting that everything we visualize is already on its way. And now we are expecting results based on our change in mindset. And when we expect results, it makes it easier for us to change our behavior to align with our desires and goals. So let's do this. Think about some words that describe who you need to become in order to bring your ultimate vision to life. Now put the two most important words known to man before them. I'll give you an example. For me, I'll use courageous. So I'll say, I am courageous. I am healthy. I am wise. I am prosperous. I am honorable. I am a doer. So now I'll give you about 30 seconds to tell yourself who you are. This is the first step to bringing your greatest dreams to reality. With every inhale, breathe in everything you yearn to become. With every exhale, remove the stress and any thoughts that are not aligned with you winning your ultimate prize of bringing your dreams to reality. Now let's take 10 breaths. We are amazing beings, far more advanced than any computer or AI system. Our energy moves mountains while having the touch to comfort a newborn. We are the greatest representation of God and have a limitless potential to do anything our minds can imagine. Don't believe me 100% yet? Well, how about this? We commit to embracing this mindset just to test it out on ourselves. But remember, you have to go beyond thinking and believing. We have to know and accept. I accept that my impact is limitless. I accept that I control my own destiny. I accept that nobody and nothing else has more influence over shaping my reality than me. And I embrace it with my mind and actions. I am that I am, and that is everything I need to be. I am. I am. I am. I am in control of creating my reality. Now let's start building the life we desire. Yeah. Whew. Little, get the mind right before we get into this tough combo. Before we get into some of these tough combos. All right. Whew. I'll be honest, man. And shout out to Hold Up. Shout out to so Charles Baldwin. Shout out to Charles. He said, "May your day be as splendid as the sunshine. Get all your facts together, people. This is the conversation everyone has away from the water cooler. What a wonderful day." Interesting, Charles. And I'll be honest. I don't think we can get all of our facts together. I don't think we can get all of our facts together when it comes to this situation between Iran, Israel, and obviously now us getting involved with bombing potentially where their nuclear weapons were, or nuclear, trying to build nuclear civilian, whatever, who knows what's there. I don't think we can get all the facts in order. I don't think that the intelligence, our director of national intelligence, clearly didn't have all the facts together when she 3 months ago, Tulsi Gabbard I'm referring to, came out and said that Iran was far off from being able to make a nuclear bomb. And then Trump came out and said she's wrong. And I think she just released a Twitter that now says, kind of like retracts everything that she said and says that she was taken out of context. So I don't think that we can get all of the facts together. I don't think we can ever get all of the facts together. But the good thing about it is, I don't think we need to get all the facts together. What I think we need to do is get our principles together, get our morals together, get our values together. We will never get the facts together. Facts are just another word for propaganda when it comes to a lot of this, because let's be real, none of us know. None of us know. None of us have a clue of what's going on. They tell us one thing a month ago, then it's another thing today, it's another thing next month, and people are like fans. We just still root for our favorite team, no matter what it is. It doesn't matter. So I don't think that we'll ever get our facts together. I don't even know what that means, because that's something that a lot of people go back and forth with when it comes to these debates about knowing the facts and knowing the history. Yo, I don't need to know all of that. All I need to do is look at what I'm getting ready to show y'all and say, hey, that's what Gaza looked like before. This is what Gaza looks like now. We need to figure out a better way to solve problems in this particular region. I don't need to have facts to look at a situation and say, hey, this is wrong. The only time you need facts, and when they play such a strong role, is when you're trying to say one side is right and one side is wrong, and you're picking a side and you've been pitted against each other. This whole thing is fucked up. This whole situation is messed up. It's messed up. It's going to lead to casualties that are unnecessary, in my opinion. And it's just a shame that we're here where, when it comes to humanity and you know, Trump and a lot of people, I saw like Pete Hegseth, I saw JD Vance, a lot of these people are bragging about the mission going so smoothly and now's the time for peace. Yo, who do they think we are? You think that you do something to me. It doesn't matter whether who's right or wrong. It doesn't matter whether we have the facts or don't have the facts. If somebody does something that you take offensive to your family, if you feel that you've been constantly getting bullied, constantly getting picked on, and then this is just another situation where you're getting picked at, where you're getting violated, you just feeling that way. We've seen where this movie ends or where it goes. It just kind of continues on replay, like a never-ending loop of, okay, let's just let's take some type of control. Let's act as if we're the big brother coming in this situation with the moral high ground. We're America. Let's support Israel and whatever it is that they want to do in this region. Meanwhile, everybody else in the region is feeling like they're getting picked on. All that does is, in my opinion, from the perspective that I'm looking at, and let me make sure, I'm going to make sure when I finish this sentence, I'm going to make sure that this, the land is connected, because I see it going in and out a little bit. But all that does is radicalize more and more people. Just like it would probably radicalize more and more of us if this type of thing was happening, where you get to the point where it's like, yo, I don't even care, I'll crash out. And we don't know who Iran has in America. Like, America seems to act with such arrogance where it turns into ignorance, or they pass along this level of ignorance to the American people. Like, all this stuff is fun and games because nothing ever touches American soil. All this stuff is fun and games because nothing seems to ever touch American soil. As soon as stuff starts happening, and I'm hoping that it doesn't. Let me make sure the connection is good. One second. We don't know what's about to happen. We don't know what's about to happen. They're telling us, oh, if anything, they're going to strike the American bases and all this other stuff. We don't know what's going to happen in this situation. And I've realized a lot of stuff over the past couple weeks. And I've had conversations with a few different people. And yeah, shout out to Ski. He said, y'all don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe and turn your notifications on. Shout out to G in the building. Christians aren't Christians. I don't know as much about Islam, or, well, I can sit here and say that I think that people aren't standing on religion, whether it's Christians, whether it's Jewish folk, whether it's Muslims. I don't think people are standing on religion. I don't think people are standing on principles. I really don't. And let me tell you exactly why. And we kind of talked about it later on in the show, but I just see people justifying and interpreting, quote unquote, God's word, these scriptures, in whatever ways necessary to fit the narrative that they want to push. They are interpreting and misinterpreting it in any way that they want. That's what we're seeing happening right now in America. I'm going to play some videos for y'all that just kind of came up in my kind of feed, my algorithm on the different platforms over the weekend. America, to me, is what black people are to the Democratic Party. What black people are to the Democratic Party, it's almost like America seems to be that to Netanyahu in Israel. And I don't know why, but doesn't it kind of feel like that? Like, as a black person, the Democratic Party, this is why I'm not a Democrat. This is why I no longer vote Democrat. Used to be a diehard Democrat, I guess you would call it, right? Doesn't every black person grow up diehard Democrat, I guess? They tell you all these things and it sounds truthful. It tugs on your emotions and it makes you go real hard for their cause, but their cause doesn't always seem to align with what is best for you, but you believe in the greater good. So therefore you just align yourself with them and you just push forward. But it brings back all these other things that you didn't ask for. But they're telling you like, hey, this is going to benefit you in the long run. Like, we're a team. We're in this together. I don't see that being the case. I'm just being totally honest. I'm calling a spade a spade. And people may say, well, you don't say this about Palestine. You don't say this about Iran. Well, we're not we're not starting these wars with Iran. We're on behalf of Iran. We're not striking all these things. We're not going to war with Iraq because Bibi Netanyahu is coming to Congress and he's giving a speech behind Barack Obama's back and trying to convince the American public that they have weapons of mass destruction. Bibi Netanyahu just jumped on TV last week and said that two of the two assassination attempts, or that Iran was behind two assassination attempts with Trump. And we know that he meant the two assassination attempts, one where Trump was shot and the other at the golf course. We know that he was talking about that because Ted Cruz confirmed it. And Ted Cruz came out and said, yeah, he misspoke. And this is who we rely on for our intelligence. And this is who we're going to rely on, quote unquote. I heard that we're not going to put our troops on the ground, but we're going to rely on Israel's troops who will be on the ground to determine what damage was done with the bombs that we just dropped. And we're supposed to trust that intelligence, I guess. I don't understand what Israel, I'm just being honest, it just feels like they have stuff on us. And I feel like it's compromising our morals, values, and principles. And I got to speak out on it. Let's take a look at some of these videos. Let me get into my notes real quick, just so I can make sure I'm going into in some sort of order. Where do I want to start off with? Let me start off with this Billy Carson video. So I mentioned this video the other day and I didn't play it, but I was just sitting here thinking, and I actually even asked ChatGPT, and let me share the screen with you guys first, and then I'll get into what I asked ChatGPT real quick. I asked ChatGPT, let me share the screen, right? Do what you said you were going to do. All right. Screen should be shared. All right, let me get in the corner real quick. All right, so I asked ChatGPT when I was just looking at this entire situation, because based on how this thing escalates, it seems like a lot of people are going to point to October 7th as the starting point. It seems like a lot of people, and Unc, send anything you want in the chat, Unc. Whatever it is that you want us to check out, we'll check it out. But it seems like a lot of people are going to point to October 7th as the starting point. So then it got me thinking, I'm like, yo, what really happened on October 7th? And of course, like I said before, we'll never know the facts, but I just happened to ask ChatGPT, I said, how many Israelis were kidnapped on October 7th by Hamas? And they said about 250 people were taken hostage and brought into Gaza. These hostages included Israeli civilians and soldiers, foreign nationals from over 20 countries, including Americans, Thais, and others. So about 250 people. Terrible thing. And see, this is why it just makes sense to not choose a side, because you can't be realistic. Even if you're talking about the quote unquote facts and the numbers in a real way, when you pick a side, even the tone you can just tell, or how somebody's presenting the information, where it's still trying to push a particular agenda. You're allowed to sit here and say, yo, that was terrible what Hamas did. You're allowed to say that Hamas is a terrorist group. Now, just me being totally honest, I'm always a little or a lot, like my radar goes up when they start calling one group a terrorist group and one group the heroes. Why? Because of my own experience and my own perspective. Now, what do I mean by my own experience and own perspective? Well, shoot, we call Christopher Columbus a hero, right? Because he, quote unquote, discovered America, or the Americas, because obviously he never touched foot in America, but we call him a hero. Now, I'm sure for the people that were indigenous to the land, I'm sure they're not looking at Christopher Columbus as a hero. They look at him as a terrorist, but it only seems to differ based on who benefits in the end. If somebody doesn't act where my country benefits, then they're a hero. But if the country that they do it to, the country that they drop the bombs on, whether it's Barack, whether it's George Bush, whether it's Clinton, whether it's Trump, whether it's Biden, doesn't matter. The country that we drop these bombs on, the country that we continue to bully in the Middle East, they're, I'm sure, looking at us as the terrorists. So we'll sit here and say, well, Iran was chanting death to America. Well, I mean, I can't say that. It doesn't make me happy to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I don't think it's smart for them to say that. And maybe they're just in a position where they just feel so bullied and backed into a corner where they feel like they need to try to get some camaraderie around it. I don't know why they're saying it. But when you look at our actions, I'm pretty sure that if what happened to a lot of the countries in those regions happened to us, I'm pretty sure we'd be saying a lot of things and calling for death upon other countries, just like a lot of people are calling for death on Iran right now. For what? For what they did to who? What exactly did they do? One second. So I'm just unclear on a lot of these things. I'll just be totally honest. I'm just unclear on these things. And from a moral, I told y'all, I don't need to know all the facts. Stop getting finessed with thinking that you need to know all the facts. I'm going to show you this video and you tell me if you need to know the facts or if principles, morals, and values are more important. There's people that may say, hey, I didn't check this video. Maybe this video is, they're going to say the video is altered. I don't know. That's why when it comes down to it, I don't care about the facts. I care about our principles, morals, and values. What are facts? Justifications of why certain people are doing certain things. Oh, well, if you look at it like this, well, if you look at it like this, everything is just biased and perspective based, and there's not a lot of objectivity when it comes to it. Let's look at this video. All right, I didn't want to play that part of the video because in case you were looking at it, see, that's more of the propaganda stuff at the end where they showed, I'll explain it since you guys saw it. They show that people in Israel are spitting on the ground like somebody's carrying a cross, or apparently like that's a sin or a bad thing to worship another God outside of, another religion. I looked it up and I said, it seems like it's a thing, but it's not. I don't know how relevant it is. Like people spitting on the ground or spitting at people. I don't know how relevant that is, but put that to the side because that could be just a one-off. We could take a video in the city showing one thing and then apply it to everything. And that's not necessarily the case, but pay attention to the video of what has happened to Gaza. When you saw that video of what has happened to Gaza, do we really think it was over 250 hostages? Like, do we really think that that's justified? I'm sorry. Like, let me ask y'all this. If your family was kidnapped Like, I'm really trying to ask myself, if my family was kidnapped, or if a family was kidnapped, maybe not related to us, we don't want to manifest that, but if a family was kidnapped and like, would you see that as like a justification? I'm being totally honest. Some people may look at it, let's be honest. Some people may say, nah, you need to destroy the whole country. My family was kidnapped. I and maybe this is where more level minds need to prevail, because it's so close to us. Maybe we would say, nah, destroy that whole thing, destroy it, shut it down. But would it really be justified? And then what do we think is going to happen in return when something like that happens, right? Because all of this war, I saw Unc write 1948, referring to when Israel was established. I believe that's what you're referring to. All this is over land, right? So now that Israel just did that to Palestine or Gaza, what do we think is going to happen? Like, do we think that this is all just going to be one of those kumbaya moments where they recognize the superior in the Jewish state in Israel, and now these radical, right? These radical Muslims, now they're all just going to see Israel and the Jewish people as the chosen people, and now they'll just bow and bend the knee, and everybody will just live in harmony because they'll understand that, hey, we're here, but you know, Jewish people, Israel, they're here. Like, what do we think's gonna happen? This is when other countries should get involved. Other people have to get involved, because yes, if you take somebody from us, we know we're willing to crash out and do whatever to get that person back, because we're locked in that mode. But why is it's on the other people that are in the room to say, hey, you may not want to do that. You may want to ease that back. We can't take it that far. There has to be another way. And it's on both sides. It's on both sides. Let me be very clear. Gaza, whoever's running these, whoever was running these negotiations with Hamas, shame on them too. Do you think it was worth it? Do you think it was worth it, y'all taking 250 people and looking what happened to your country? I don't know what your goals are, so I can't say for sure whether or not it's worth it. To you. But when everybody else looks at it, when you just look at humanity as a whole, when I just look at the oneness of humanity, all of us are one, not separate individuals, not separate groups. When you just look at overall, us as a group, I can sit back and say, nah, that wasn't worth 250 people. Look what happened to your country. Look what happened to your land. This is why I got upset with Trump making those goofy videos with the AI, with the Trump towers and stuff. And like, yo, these people just got their homes leveled. Look, man, I remember, well, I don't remember, I wasn't there, but, you know, looking back when Malcolm said, what did Malcolm say? The chicken's coming home to roost. American arrogance can be turned to humility very quickly. American arrogance can be turned humble very quickly. See, we live on this high horse thinking that we're safe, thinking that, hey, you know, we got water behind us. We got a whole ocean. We're not finna take any of these hits. If anything, it'll just be some of the bases. You know, we've got some family and friends that may be stationed on these bases, but I'm just glad it's not us. Let's be real. What are you thinking? Because if it was a real threat, or you thought it was a real threat, would we still be having this same type of energy? I don't know. Let's look at a couple different other things. Hold on. We have a couple comments. So Kui said, How long has there been war in the Middle East? Yeah, right. Like what? Yo, what are we doing? What are we doing? Is this really how we solve problems as humanity? Like for the younger generations growing up, is this what they're going to see? Like this is how you solve problems? Damn. All right, let me take a look at this video. So my boy posted a video that I thought was dope. We'll take a look at it. Shout out to my boy Chris Broby. Let's share this screen for y'all and let's go over this and then we'll get into a few other videos. We're gonna look at what Myron. So Myron, if you've been watching Myron Gaines from Fresh and Fit, when it comes to this situation and the Diddy situation, it seems like he's taking on these stories and is locked in from a journalist standpoint. So we're going to take a look at his perspective on some of this as well. Some of it you may agree with, some of you may disagree with, but we'll check out this video first that I was telling you about my boy, and then we'll go from there. So let's get into it.
We bombed Iran. Guys, we really don't know what's going on, and I'll refer to my last video where I said, shut all this shit off. My point being, did you even make your fucking bed today? Did you go to the gym this weekend? Have you sweated recently? Like, what are you doing for you? Get your own house in order before you give all your energy everywhere else around the world. Your shit is probably not as nice as it needs to be. Focus on you. It's really crazy to me how quickly people get sucked in this shit. All I've been seeing the last 24 hours is people hyped up to go to war with Iran now. Right? Iran tweeted out, everyone will feel this. And all of a sudden in my feed, dudes are ready to go to war again. Oh, Iran doesn't want this smoke. Don't they know the US military? This is why we have tax dollars. Look at our Air Force. Guys, do you not realize, look at every podcast with every veteran from Iraq and Afghanistan. You ask any of them, including the podcasts I've done, should we have been there or did it make sense to go there? Fuck no. It was all corporate interests. But look how quickly you guys are getting sucked into the same playbook. We saw this after 9/11. Now I'm surprised we haven't seen something happen on US soil to provoke everyone in the US to want to jump into war with Iran. Stop letting them play your emotions. Like, own your day. It's Sunday morning. The amount of messages I had about Iran being bombed and what are we gonna do? And I have friends in the Middle East that are close to this that are concerned. But even them, it's like, we know that there's theater going on. Do you think world leaders are really tweeting out their war plans? Do you think CoinSauce, who I follow for crypto news on IG, would be putting up stealth bombers headed toward the Gulf region? Do you think that's strategically smart? Do you think our government is literally giving play-by-play updates so that it can get blasted on Twitter? This is all your mind control. You don't even know if any of this is physically happening. You don't even know if what you're seeing is real or not. Think about that. We bombed Iran.
Yo, man, so many gems in that. And I shared a lot of that perspective. And shout out to we're gonna get Chris on the show. We finna start doing some stuff. That's my bro. That's my bro down there in Miami. And when he put this up, I thought it was the perfect response to a lot of this. Now, let me also tap in with some of the things that stood out that Chris said that stood out to me is like, we don't even know what's going on. They're just showing us videos of certain stuff. You got people all amped up. They put out a tweet saying everyone will feel this. Now it's like, it seems like all of these powers that be, look at it from a political standpoint in America. Remember when we saw that Donald Trump and Barack Obama were laughing and joking, but then, when they're with each other, but then Barack's calling Trump a threat to democracy and all this other stuff. Trump talks his stuff about Barack, but then in person, they're just chilling. And it seems like it's like, somebody needs to take the phone of whoever is running the tweets for Iran. Somebody needs to take Donald Trump's phone, perhaps. And we need to put pressure on them like a lot of people are, the Tucker Carlsons, the Dave Smith, the Candace Owens, the Matt Gaetz. There's a lot of people that are doing it. Chris Broby. We need to put pressure on them to figure out ways to solve these problems that don't have us ending up dead. The regular civilians, we do realize that the people that are pressing the button and making the decisions on whether or not we go to war or not, we do realize that they have a certain level of protection. And not only if, and let's say that they don't have a certain level of protection, because some people may say, well, they can easily be targeted because they're the ones that are front line in a lot of this stuff. That may be the case. However, they're also benefiting from it financially, in my opinion. They are benefiting. There's a lot of money that happens when war happens. It just is what it is. And let me make sure I'm catching up, because Ransom Network Engineer had a good comment that I wanted to address. This to me was never about supporting Iran. I just done enough research to understand pattern recognition. I'm with you. We've seen this. We've seen it. They ran this play before. We gonna get caught with this same dumbass reverse. They just ran this reverse. We got caught in it. Like, now we finna get caught with it again. We knew that they were gonna run it on third down. They ran it on third down last time. They had the same guy set up in the same position. It was the same scenario, and now we're still gonna get fooled by the same play. And they make it very beneficial for us to be fooled by the same play. That's why when you turn on your mainstream networks, when you turn on Fox, you got them repeating and almost like they're just swallowing Trump. Like they're scared to say anything negative. All they're doing is pushing this because they all work for the same people, in my opinion. They all work for the same people. Who you work with, who you work for is based on who you get money from, right? Let me read the rest of this. Israel has done this to countless countries using the United States as their vanguard. I agree, bro. Or sis. I don't know who, bro or sis. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Queez just said something, I think. Hold on. Create the problem and then create a problem that may not even be their influence, that may not even be their influence, the people to support, and boom, you can come out and control. That's a fact. Like, why are we allowing ourselves to get fooled by this? Why are we gonna fake convince ourselves that any part of this is okay? And people start bringing up certain stuff. Well, Iran, you should see what they do to their people. And that's not our issue. We're in America. We complain about what America does to us, right? So now we're justifying why we should go to war with a group because their government, we don't like the way that they govern their people. Because America, we're the supreme being when it comes to morality, right? So we don't like the way that they govern their people, but then we support regimes who do what Israel just did to Palestine. We're so powerful, but we can't figure out a resolution without dropping a bomb. It's almost like, yo, when you're really that powerful, then the threat is so big that people will negotiate just because that they're scared of you, like your involvement. It's getting to the point now where I think these people, they just like, yo, whatever. If America does something, it is what it is. I don't know. There was something else that was on my mind that I wanted to speak on. But let me ask y'all this, because I had a conversation with a bro of mine, and it happened over the weekend, right after Trump spoke. And we were talking about like whether or not it's justified or okay, or what their feelings were on us attacking Iran, even though JD Vance and Trump and Pete Hegseth, they'll come out here and say, no, we're not at war with Iran, right? Rubio, we're not at war with Iran. We're just at war with Iran's nuclear facilities. That's like them saying on 9/11, no, we're not at war with America. We're just at war with the Twin Towers and the people that work around that area. Like, what? Like, it doesn't work that way. Just because that's how you want to project something, hopefully America's not dumb enough to, oh yeah, we're not at war with our... Bro, what? If somebody just destroyed our defenses I'm pretty sure we would feel like we're at war with them, and that they put us in a compromising position, a very dangerous position, a vulnerable position. So therefore, they would be striking us. No, we're not. Oh, no, that's just our nuclears. That has nothing to do with us. Like, are we that stupid to really buy into this stuff? So the conversation I was having with a buddy of mine is he was saying that he was more justifying, or let me actually bring the text. I'm not going to read the exact text, but I just want to make sure that when I say that he was justifying it, that was correct. Hold on one second. Let's see. Hold on. I got to damn. I didn't realize the convo was this long. I did not realize the convo was this long. Okay. He started off his sentence by saying, I think we are protecting our only real ally in the Middle East. I'm more pro-Israel. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, damn. And I gotta be honest, and Big Bro's probably listening right now, so I'm gonna be honest with him. This is what I meant when I said I see people that I hold in high regards, and I have a lot of respect for them. But when I hear them rationalizing this war over there, it makes me look at them a little bit differently. It does. And this is my big bro. It makes me look at you differently. I'm just being totally honest with you. You may say I'm living in a fantasy world. Nah. See, and this is when traditionally where the race would stand, it would come into play, because he's white. So traditionally, this is where in the conversation I'd start sitting back saying like, damn, he just another white dude who wants to align himself with the only white group in that region, has no problem killing all those brown people, all the destruction that Israel does to all those brown people in that region. And I see myself, I'm more of a victim because I know what happened to me in America as a black person. So therefore, I'm gonna align myself with that. This is where that normally would occur. But I pushed that to the side. Just being totally, I pushed that to the side. And I was just thinking about it from a moral standpoint. And I realized that our morals overall are fucked up. See, we justify violence. We think that, and see, this is the problem. I no longer believe that violence, either I'm somewhere between, I don't think that violence can be justified, or it doesn't matter if it's justified. I'm finding myself landing either on one of those or somewhere between those on the spectrum of one from the one point to the other point. Now, what do I mean by that? Damn, violence can't be justified. And the example that he brought up is, he was saying that how, when I go to sleep, I don't leave my door unlocked. And I sat here and I said, well, yeah, because I never know how somebody else is gonna act. But I also don't rob other people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to other apartments and doing certain things. So I'm not exhibiting that violent behavior that I'm saying that I'm against. So that may have been a little bit, I'm not sure if I fully connected the dots, and I don't want to go back to the chat, but it was a little bit all over the place. But just from this standpoint, we started talking about if somebody breaks into the house. If somebody comes into the house, and let me be very clear, like growing up, I always grew up in a house where I'm very confident that if somebody broke into my house growing up, that my dad would have a mindset of, I'm shooting first and then we'll figure it out later. I'm not going to allow, this is not a time for diplomacy. Somebody breaks into my house, I'm assuming that I need to kill this threat and neutralize it, so therefore nobody in my family would be harmed. Now, I would assume, I'm just going to make an assumption that the majority of people that are hearing this would be okay with that. The majority of people hearing this would say that this is justified. This is why I say that I'm landing on the point where I think that no violence is justified, or that it doesn't matter if it's justified. And hear me out on this. If somebody broke into my house, you never know what you would do, right? You may get nervous, you may freeze, you never know. But I would like to think that, and the fact that I said that I would like to think this, I would hope that it just never happens. I would hope that if they came in, they would hear the gun being cocked and that they would just leave. I would hope these things would happen. But if they didn't, I would do the same thing that I just described, that I believe that I know that my dad would have done. That's one. I'll be totally honest with me. I'm saying you never know. I know that my dad would have done that. But see, this is the issue. Justified or not, it would be wrong. Justified or not, it would be wrong. So what do we mean justified? We mean justice. So we're referring to the law, right? We may get off. You may be in Florida, stand your ground. Even if you're not in Florida, somebody coming to your house, you can, I mean, as long as they're not running in the opposite direction, I believe. I don't know the exact law. Somebody can feel free to tap in and give me them. But regardless, it would be wrong. Now, what do I mean it would be wrong? How can something be justified, but then at the same time be wrong? Well, it can be justified based on I wanted to save my family, and I felt that this was what needed to be done in order to do so. But it's wrong when you look at the total sum of everything that happened. I had to kill somebody. I've never killed somebody. But I know when I go on YouTube and I look at these war veterans, people that have committed crimes, whether it's in the streets, whether it's, I mean, a lot of people would say the military, whatever it is, people that have killed people, that seems to haunt them. And when you're a super spiritual person, it would seem to me that would haunt you, have nightmares. Now, you still may just allow it to let it go because you're still appreciating the fact that I did something heroic. I saved my family. But you got to deal with that. And when I say it's wrong, if we look at it like it's wrong, let's just take a step back. Let's say that you don't think that it's wrong. Let's just for 5 minutes act as if it is wrong. We still did it. But now if we acknowledge it as wrong, even if we still think that it was justified, if we see that it's wrong, we'll look at it from a point of view where hopefully we'll say, this is a terrible thing. This is a terrible thing. I'm upset that I had to do this, or I felt that I had to do this. I'm upset that it's a different perspective rather than what some people may do in that situation and feel like they're patting themselves on the back because they protected their family. They did what's right. Yo, a loss was just like somebody was just killed. A life was just taken. It allows you to dig a little deeper into the situation. Like, yo, why would somebody break into my crib? They were that desperate and dumb. Like they just, see, it allows you to look at it from a practical standpoint of trying to find a solution, of looking at the whole, the entirety. Now, I may be losing y'all, so let me get back to the exact point. I may be losing myself. Sometimes I do that. You saying that you're pro-Israel, talking back to my boy, it has shifted his mind, in my opinion, and to me, it's compromised his morals and values. So you think because Israel is an ally of ours, that we should be dropping bombs on people, killing hundreds of thousands of people, or however many people died in Palestine and Gaza, like because they're an ally of us? See, maybe I'm just a bad, like I'm a little bit, like, I don't just go along with the get along. I don't just do what everybody else, like, oh, that's what we do. Nah, wait, what? This doesn't make any sense. I'm not with that. Y'all saw the what photo used to be up here? Boys in the Hood, right? See, Trey may have looked like, I don't know if all y'all have seen Boys in the Hood. Trey may have looked like a punk getting out that car. Because they just killed his man. They just killed his best friend, Ricky. So now what do you got to do? You got to continue the cycle. Now you got to go kill them and they mans. But what does it end up leading to? Who ends up suffering the most? It's just casualties and casualties going back and forth. And what has happened in the Middle East going back and forth? We're not rooting for the Indiana Pacers or the Oklahoma City Thunder. We're not rooting for yo, who you got? Oh yeah, I'm pro Pacers. Oh no, I'm pro OKC. Bro, people are dying here. How about we be pro principle rather than pro team? Because that pro team shit is the same thing that gets us in these situations now where we're fighting between Democrats and Republicans. And meanwhile, the powers that be, they're the same people that are giving money to the Democrats, giving money to the Republicans, but they pin us against each other. And then what ends up happening? Nothing gets done. We just form this cycle of battling between each other and accomplishing nothing. Because we want to be pro this. How about we be pro principles? What do we talk all the time about when it comes to the Democratic Party that I can't stand? There's no principles. There's no values. There's nothing to stand on. What do you represent? Yeah, the Republicans got, it's not enough. A principle is not, I'm against Project 2025. That's not a principle. That's not telling me what you stand on. I don't know what to take from that. So you just disagree with everything in it? Like, did you read everything in it? You disagree really with everything in it? Oh, they're putting us in chains and shackles. Okay, so what are your principles? What do you think we should do? As soon as you say you're pro this or you're pro that, we've lost. We've lost. Why do we have to continue playing this game? And I'm keeping it real. Like I said, that's my big bro that I was referring to in that text. But I'm looking at a lot of people close to me differently. I'm looking at a lot of people close to me differently. I just got a text from that person. Don't run from what you said. It's cool. I'm not, and this is the thing. We've all been in that situation. I'm not shaming that person. I'm saying this out loud because, or maybe I am shaming the person. We talk about it all the time when somebody is obese, we say that, oh, maybe we should bring shaming back to change people's perspective and to get them back on the right. So maybe it is shaming. Shame on y'all. Shame on y'all. What does it even mean to say that you're pro-Israel? What does that mean? Because I'm pretty sure if I spoke to an Israeli or the majority of Jewish people and I said I'm pro-Palestine or free Palestine, I'm pretty sure that would hit your core a little bit and represent some things that you may say are a little bit different than free Palestine. You may say that represents some words that are very hurtful based on the wars that have been, right? So here we got Americans who don't know shit about what's going on over there. But anybody with eyes could see, yo, come on, man. Israel, y'all bugging out. With some of this stuff, y'all are bugging out. You're gone too far. What's the line in Shotters? You're gone too far, Biggs. You're gone too far. It's too much. And shame on us for endorsing it. Because what ends up happening when you get a group of people that now you got a crowd, there's a fight going on, and now you get a group of people. Now they amping you up. Yo, go do. Yeah, I'm pro you. I'm with him. And it turns into a bigger situation. and it escalates. That's what is happening right now. Americans saying mind your fucking business. Didn't y'all just tell me a week ago that Israel is fully capable of fighting this war on their own? So why are we getting involved? Why are we sending people from, where did they come from? Missouri? Why? If Israel's fully capable, why? Then you got Netanyahu and Trump sucking each other off on TV. Like, I don't want to hear that. I'm an American. What is the famous George Bush line? Yo, what's the, hold up. Let me play it for y'all. What's the, y'all know what I'm saying. Write in the chat if you know what I'm about to say. Right in the chat. Yeah, that's the song. Hold on. Let me play it real quick. Hold on. Y'all know what I'm talking about. What's this line?
Things first, rest in peace. I can't fail it and I'm risk to a better.
Hold on.
In Texas, probably in Tennessee.
Here we go.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, we can't get fooled again.
Fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't put the
Fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't put the blame on you. We've seen this happen before. We just had a 20-year war because you fooled me saying that they had weapons of mass destruction and they didn't. And at the very least, if you didn't intentionally fool me, you were wrong. So it showed a certain level of ignorance. So now why are we getting behind this particular group now, saying they're our ally? Saying that the same people that we give money to, and this is where it gets a little funny to me. The same people that see, like with me, I'm on a side where it's like, I don't want all this welfare because I know that it doesn't do anything good for black people. I know that they just dangle this in front of us, this Lyndon B. Johnson approach with the social programs to keep the black people down and victims. But these, and there'll be a lot of white people who will come out and back me. Yeah, nigga, I'm with you. We with you. Even the black guy said we shouldn't be giving welfare. We shouldn't be forgiving to all. But I'm realizing that a lot of y'all got a different type of energy when it comes to our money supporting Israel, especially when you watch a Ted Cruz interview and the people that we're giving money to, this senator is okay with them spying on us. He's saying, no, it's not like, we all do it. All of our friends, well, are we giving them money? Why are you so comfortable with it? Because they're giving you millions of dollars from AIPAC? I'm just asking questions here because it's not adding up. It's not making sense. And I told y'all, when things don't make sense to me, I don't think I'm an idiot. But when things don't make sense to me, that's when I start to question. That's when I start to do what Queez always recommends, and I follow the money. Like, think about this. What this war between Israel and Iran that now is involved us. What would make, I'm just wondering, like, what makes somebody say I'm pro either? Because we can say that Iran chants death to America, right? Oh, they chanted death to America. But who has actually got us in positions to where we're losing more Americans, like getting involved in all this stuff? And people will say, well, we got the same enemies as Israel. Well, yeah, like I think that would make sense. I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem. But we're not looking at the root of it. Oh, we got the same enemies. Well, why? So perhaps we just need to take a step back when it comes to a lot of this, because in my opinion, us being forced to pick a side, to pick a team, to pick, oh, I'm pro Israel or I'm pro whatever else. I don't know what you would be pro. Iran, I don't think so. You may understand exactly what's going on from their standpoint. Matter of fact, let's play I want to play something for you guys. Because I'm going to show you that everything is perspective based. I'm going to show you that everything is perspective based. We're going to show it to you right here. Hold on. Take a look at this. Now, people can say, oh, this is wrong. This isn't right. I don't know. You may be right. I told y'all, facts, when it comes to this, the facts don't matter. The facts don't matter because we're never going to be given all of the information. We're never going to be given all of the information. Principles matter because you can apply principles where you don't have all the information. You can apply morals, a moral compass, a value system. You can apply those things without having all the facts. And Cuzzo, what does this conflict have to do with us? I really don't know. That's my whole point. That's why I'm sitting here looking at my big homie like, big bruh, what do you mean you're pro-Israel? Like, I don't understand. What are you talking about? Like, what are we talking about? And I know that these are actually good people. Like, the one person I'm talking about in particular, I know that they are a great person, have one of the best hearts of people that I know. What they do on a day-to-day basis is helping people who do not have the same access, who do not have the same ability as a lot of other people, and that's what they've dedicated their life to. So when I look at somebody like that, who I know they've dedicated their whole life to helping people who don't have the same opportunity as others, I'm sitting back like, damn, how do we land in this position where we're America, we're looking at what's going on over there, and you're saying that you're pro-Israel? What does that even mean? You're okay with Israel secretly having a nuke, but then you're not, like, and I'm just asking questions because it doesn't make sense to me. But let's hear this perspective. And you guys tell me, maybe it's true, maybe it's BS, maybe it's not, I don't know. Listen to this.
So, like part of being an intelligent person is being able to empathize, right? Let's go into this dream world. You're the leader of Iran, okay? You're the fucking Ayatollah. You're the supreme leader, right? Your country is poor. You have a sophisticated missile system. You got some hypersonics. You got some fucking, some ballistic missiles. You got some cruise missiles, drones, etc. You have a strong missile program. You are developing and have a civilian nuclear program. But your enemy, Israel, is constantly not only attacking you or trying to attack you and dethrone you, but they've destabilized and destroyed all of your neighbors. Okay? They destroyed Libya. They destroyed Sudan. They destroyed Morocco. They bribed Jordan. They destroyed Egypt, then bribed Egypt later. They destroyed Lebanon, right? They destroyed Palestine. And you see that they're propped up by the world's strongest military. So in an effort to preserve yourself, a guy named Barack Obama says, look, I know you guys want a nuclear weapon to stave off Israel and the United States. Let's exercise diplomacy. I have this deal here that will allow you to continue to enrich uranium for a peaceful civilian program, but we're going to have international oversight from multiple different countries. to include us. We'll be involved, but other countries will be too, so that this is fair. You're like, you know what? We got some crippling sanctions. Our economy could do better. Let's do it. You enter into the agreement in 2015. You comply with the inspections. You allow the IAEA to come in, an International Board of Inspectors. You signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty, which ensures that you will never build a nuclear weapon. You do everything right. You go to the UN, you meet, etc. You become a part of the UN Council, all this shit, right? And you do this for a few years. But unfortunately, unlike you being the supreme leader where you stay the leader, the United States has an election every 4 years. And some blonde-haired orange man, who used to be a former businessman, takes office. You find out that there's a very strong connection with the Zionist lobby. Within 3 years of you being into this agreement and complying with all the fucking standards, this guy pulls out of the agreement, puts you on the foreign terrorist organization list, crippling sanctions come your way because you're on the foreign terrorist list, which allows them to put you even harder sanctions on you. And you find out that your enemy Israel, who has been trying to destroy you and destroyed all the countries around, was the biggest lobbying party to get you put on this foreign terrorist list and to create the sanctions that are destroying your economy. You don't have a nuclear weapon, and you know that invasion is imminent. You've seen Benjamin Netanyahu for 30 years go to UN Council after UN Council, go to international meeting after international meeting and say that you're building a nuclear bomb and use that to try to invade or intervene in your country's sovereignty. What would you do? You had an agreement. They backed out the agreement. They put crippling sanctions on your country, and then they labeled your military a terrorist organization. Well, clearly, diplomacy doesn't work. They want you out of here. They want regime change. So you start refining your uranium to defend yourself. You start arming proxies all around Israel to ensure that you have insulation between yourself and Israel. Now, they're trying to escalate, and they go ahead and they do a preemptive attack against you. So
Uncompetitive. Uncompetitive. Let me give you a hot take. America's terrorist. We are terrorists to certain people. This is the whole point. This is the whole point of playing this. The whole point of playing this was to show that exact point. And Myron starts off by saying it's important to understand the perspective of the people that you're fighting against or the people that you're trying to negotiate, right? Because Trump was still trying to negotiate. I believe they're still trying to negotiate. But isn't there the saying that we don't negotiate with terrorists? So are they terrorists or are they not? Do we not negotiate with terrorists or do we negotiate with terrorists? What's the difference? Let me ask you this. Uncompetitive. What's the difference between America's or Iran being terrorist? Like, what type of terrorism does Iran do compared to that differentiates them and holds them in a higher regard than America or Israel? What's the difference? Who dies, who lives? Who it benefits? What's the difference? This is my whole point. Even if you justify violence, both sides can justify violence. But it's wrong. That is my entire point. This is the reason why when a Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf situation happens, where there's a lot of people that are getting behind Carmelo Anthony calling him a hero. This is the reason why when Shiloh Hendricks or whatever her name is, when she's calling that little black kid a nigger, a lot of people get behind her. Because of dummies picking sides. Thinking that, oh, well, it's justified to do this, or that's justified to do this. It's wrong. The whole thing is wrong. We do not have to split it in half. It's wrong. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing. And my big bro texted me and said that he never justified it. I didn't. Let me be correct. Whether he's, I think he said I'm missing the point. No, I think you're missing the point, big bro. And big bro, you know you could always call in and clarify. It doesn't matter whether you justified it or not. You can say you didn't justify it or not, but as soon as you say you're pro-Israel, everybody else is going to take that as you justifying it. Like, are we playing word games here? This is what people do. Oh, I'm pro. We drop bombs on behalf of Israel or on behalf of us on who Israel's beefing with. That night I get a message and somebody says they're pro-Israel. Did I put a gun to your head and say, yeah, who you with? Who you rocking with? Pick a team. No, you came out the blue and said that. Now you're saying, well, I didn't say it's justified. So why are you saying you're pro? What does pro mean? That means you're for a particular group, right? So if that particular group is doing certain things and you're saying that you're for them, isn't that justifying it? Or are we going to play the little word games here? If I sit here and say I'm pro Carmelo Anthony, what would anybody take that as? If I sit here and say I'm pro Shiloh, the lady that called the kid a nigger, what would people take that as? You're for that person and what they did. Nobody forced you to say you're pro that. But it's always, and this is what they do. It's always, you missed this thought in my text, it seems. So let me see what text. He wrote, overall, I barely lean positive on this issue. I don't know what that means. I barely lean positive on this issue? How about I fucking can't stand this? How about this is ridiculous that these people are dying? How about we just saw a genocide happen. We just saw Palestine flattened. How about some of that energy? How about the energy of maybe if a fraction of that happened here? We still, just think about how we talk about 9/11. That was 2 buildings? Did y'all not just see the video that I just showed y'all with Gaza? Oh. Big bro, call in. Big bro, call in. Because now he's saying that I'm putting words in his mouth. Big bro, call in. You a grown up. Call me and explain your side then. This is the problem. Like, now I'm putting words in people's mouth. Let me read. You want me to read the text? Yo, this is see, and this is why you got to have these conversations, because you have to make people feel uncomfortable about sometimes when they say certain things. I think we are protecting our own. So I'm just going to read one text. Matter of fact, no, I'm not. Now you go, oh, you're reading my text. Yeah. Call in, tap in, man. You know deep down you're wrong. You know deep down there's a certain part of you that is wrong in justifying any of this type of stuff by even saying that you're pro one side or another. You know deep down, I'm not putting words in your mouth, and that's corny for you to even say, rather than just sitting back and saying what a lot of us should do perhaps and say, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be pro any side. Maybe I don't need to be pro any side. Oh, it's hard for me to lean positive. And what does that even mean? And see, this is why I'm always confused about, see, everybody, I guess, everybody's not going to want to do what I'm doing and maybe share their opinions on for the world or feel comfortable letting other people know exactly how they feel about something. I just was never that type. If something's wrong, I just feel like you should speak on it. I feel like every voice counts. And that same level of fear that I've talked about plenty of times on that show, I guess this is why people don't. Big bro, if you don't feel, I'm leaving it. And now it's turned into a convo like with Vons. It's like, big bro, just call and tap in and give me your perspective on the situation. A lot of other people may have that perspective. A lot of other people may have that perspective. It's okay. Let's work through it. Let's talk through it. I'm just saying the issue that I have with it because I see it impacting a lot of other people like a cancer spreading. And it's only, I think Unc wrote it a little bit ago, violence only begets violence. Let me take a positive turn real quick because I'm gonna have to get off of here in a second. All right, yeah. Let me move on. What video did I just say that I wanted to play? Oh man, now I'm losing my train of thought. That's right. I got it right here. I want to play something for you guys. Is this Bluetooth connected?
Abdu'l-Baha makes that point.
Perfect. So I want to play something for you. This is so I do a show with another one of my big bros. You may see me posting from time to time with the surgeon Pete DeNoble. That's my big bro, man. Cool surgeon. And side note, I'm about to give a little plug, but he's one of those doctors that is willing to call out a lot of the BS that you hear me talking about when it comes to healthcare, people being driven by money, controlled by money, how the pharmaceuticals, the FDA, all that stuff. So he's a member of the Baha'i faith, which is, you do your own research on it. I've kind of discussed it from time to time, but it doesn't even matter. This is just something that one of their scholars was reading. And I thought it was relevant to the situation that's going on right now. So we'll listen to this. Hopefully this can get us back to the mindset of where we started the show off, more on the positive affirmations and stuff like that. Hopefully we can get to that point. I don't know, but I think this is just a good way to end it out. So
Madaniya, in The Secret of Divine Civilization, Abdu'l-Baha says that religion is the greatest and most powerful tool. And this is Abdu'l-Baha talking. He said, it's a tool. And he said,
and another thing, hold up, real quick. Because I'm going to go back a little bit. I want to play a little more. I almost want to say, never mind.
Yes. Abdu'l-Baha makes that point in Madaniya, in The Secret of Divine Civilization. Abdu'l-Baha says that religion is the greatest and most powerful tool. And this is Abdu'l-Baha talking. He said, it's a tool. And he said, and if used in the wrong hands, it's a powerful light, but if used in the wrong hands, it can set the place on fire. And that's what we're seeing happening. We're seeing people use religion as a tool. And I think my answer to you is that
religion can be a powerful light, but it can also burn down. I don't know if they said burn down the world. We'll say it, burn down everything. The same thing with culture. It's the same thing with politics. And why is it this the same thing with culture and it's the same thing with politics? Because it's really all the same now. People have compromised their morals, compromised their values, because that's really your religion, right? Just the things that you stand on, regardless of whether you're a part of Christianity, you're Jewish, you're Muslim, regardless of what you are. Even if you don't identify with those particular groups, all of a religion is a set of principles that you stand on and live by, right? So the reason why I say that it's the same thing with politics or culture, we've prioritized all these other things above religion, above our way of life, above our morals, above our principles. To the point where you got Ted Cruz saying, I'm with Israel because the Bible says that we should bless Israel. So we should show love to Netanyahu. Like, this is like the type of, like, what? Thou shall not kill. Oh, but it's justified if you do this and this. Which one is it? Can I eat pork today and not eat pork tomorrow? Is it absolute? Like what? I'm just trying to figure it out. Is it okay to kill here, but not to kill? Which one is it? And the more we compromise our religious integrity, our spiritual integrity, with our politics, with what's going to put food on our table or put money in our pockets, with our culture or for the culture, compromising our morals and standards for the culture. The more we do all those things, the more religion gets watered down, and the more we are going to see religion being used as something that will misguide us instead of guiding us. That's supposed to be a connection to God, right? That's what religion is supposed to be, a relationship to God. How is any of this godly? How is any of this godly? And it goes back to the same division. This is why I've been complaining for the longest about them trying to start this civil racial war in America. And it's funny, I just had a thought come to mind. Imagine if we had this same thought process when it came to somebody breaking in our house, when the example that I gave earlier. Imagine if we had this same thought process, but we looked at that person breaking in our house as one of us, as somebody that's a part of our tribe, a part of our village. Now, a lot of people would say, I'm still shooting them. You come into my house uninvited in the middle of the night. I got family here. I got kids here. I'm still shooting that person. I'm not taking any chances. A lot of people would say that, but this may also happen. After realizing that this is somebody that belongs to your community, a member of your village, your tribe, your family, I don't think your perspective on it would be the same afterwards. You would see it as like, damn, this is weighing heavy on me. This is wrong. But because we've allowed them to divide us, now we don't look at it as like, yo, they got to figure that out over there. What's going on? Now we look at it as, oh no, I'm pro that group or I'm pro that group. But being pro that group or pro this, apparently being pro that group doesn't justify what that group is doing. Apparently. Take a step back. Take a step back. We don't have to be in the mix. We don't have to show off our big guns and how strong we are. Sometimes, hey, this is what we're learning in life, right? It's crazy how sometimes our own individual lives can be a microcosm of what we see in overall humanity. If somebody approaches you, maybe when you're a lot younger, you may handle it in one way. But then you may be out and you got your family there. You realize this is the neighborhood that you live in. Do you really want to get into an argument with somebody that knows what neighborhood you live in, what grocery store you go to? All these, like, just overall. Maybe it's just because, hey, I'm getting older. I don't want to resolve problems like maybe how I thought problems should be resolved before. Maybe you'll walk away. I would love to think that I would walk away from a situation, bro. We look at life as if like we're on some tough street shit. No, we need to, like, you get to a certain point where you have so much to lose where it's like, I'm not about to get into it with this clown. Like, I'm about to walk away. Like, all right, you got it, bro. As long as you don't put your hands on me, we good. I guess it's heroic to fight. It's heroic to have war. We don't reward and show love to the people that walk away and prevent wars. this is a tough situation that we're in. A very tough situation that we're in. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I do think that we are being misled. And this is just another example of that shows that we need to get back to get back tuned in spiritually, because this is clearly impacting a lot of us. Just think about this. People going to work today, what's going on in an area where 99% of us, or maybe even more than that, 99.9% of people have never been to this region, have never been to any of these places. But it's going to be the number one thing that we're discussing. Look what we're discussing on here. So if it's going to be discussed, it can either be magnified in one way or another. It can either compound in one direction or another along that spectrum. Either it's going to compound in a way where it's like, yeah, we going to war, we rocking with this group, or we rocking with that group. Doesn't matter. That's still the side that's promoting us going to war. Or it's going to be the people that are saying, like, hold up, Paul, like, stop, man. I'm not pro this group. I'm not pro, like, yo, forget all that. It doesn't work. You think this group is a little bit more right than that group? Yo, it doesn't work. It hasn't worked. Why are we not putting more pressure on our politicians to come up with better solutions than this? Then they're just dropping bombs. Donald Trump, you're the art of the deal, right? Go make a deal, brother. This is what we voted for. Well, this is what I voted for you for. You said no more of these forever wars. And what do? We get into something that has nothing even to do with us. Donald Trump was one of the main people, has always been one of the main people calling out politicians before, presidents before him that got finessed by Netanyahu into getting into the next war, getting into that Iraq war. And what does he do? His director of national intelligence comes out 3 months ago saying that they're far away from creating a nuclear bomb. And now, fast forward, now we are where we are. And Uncompetitive brought up a good point. He also stopped the India versus Pakistan war where both have nukes. Yeah, have that same energy. And Uncompetitive wrote he also wants peace in Ukraine and Russia. Why? And this is, here it goes. The president gave them 60 days to come to the table, but they refused and escalated threats. Is it safe to say that you're saying that this is a justified response, big bro? And let me ask you a question. How do you know the president gave them 60 days to come to the table? You just, you believe everything that Trump says, right? The president gave them 60 days to come to the table, but they refused and escalated threats. Oh, we believe. He tweeted it. He put it on Truth Social. This is really what we're condoning? How about this? Since all these people, because a lot of these are my big bros, all of y'all super righteous people that are justifying this, I'm officially giving 60 days for everybody who wasn't indigenous to America to give up their property. I'm giving you 60 days to give up your property. If you weren't here before Europeans came over and conquered this land, I'm giving you 60 days. to give up your home. Turn over your keys to somebody that had some type of, it doesn't even matter, somebody that had some type of indigenous type of, background. Maybe they may have been indigenous, more indigenous than a European. I'm giving you 60 days to come to the table. And now what's the response? Hold on. So now my big bro wrote, I believe. So you started off saying, hold on, let me be clear. You started off saying that our government, hold on. I just want to make sure that we're looking at these in the proper order. You started off saying that the president gave them 60 days to come to the table, but they refused and escalated threats. Then when I pressed you a little bit on it, you said these things. Our government or any other government will never share all they know. The real truth is always too deep for us to know. That's my opinion. So why did you just start off saying a statement as if it's a fact, but then say that, well, we don't really know what they're sharing with us. They're really only going to share stuff with us that we want to know. Let's take a step back. Are y'all familiar with Barack put in play with the propaganda? What's the, hold on. What policy did Barack Obama put in play regarding propaganda being used against Americans? Hold on. It's a two-name thing. I forget what it's called. The Smith-Munn Modernization Act. Are we familiar with that? That pretty much allows the government to feed us propaganda. It used to be legal for the U.S. to feed propaganda to other countries. What Barack Obama signed into play now makes it legal for them to feed us propaganda. So you started off making a statement, and this is what I mean. Now, I'm not calling you out and saying you're a bad person. But when you make a statement saying that the president gave them 60 days to come to the table, but they refused and escalated threats, what the majority of us are going to see that as, oh, that's a reason and a justification for what's going on. It's Iran's fault. We dictate the terms. It's Iran's fault. So therefore, no, we should be dropping bombs on them. Now you'll say, well, I didn't say we were going to drop bombs. Well, what are you saying? Then when I press you a bit, you say our government or any other government will never share all they know. The real truth is always too deep for us to know. That's my opinion. So if that's your opinion, why did you make a statement like it's a fact? And if that truly is your opinion, that we don't know what the government is sharing with us, why can't we focus on principles? This is why I started off the show saying facts don't matter in these situations. Because they can always present a video here that shows what the Israeli soldiers are doing to the Palestinians, or show here what the Palestinians are doing to the Israeli hostages. They can always show us these things. They pick and choose what they show us. Now is the time where they can control what they show us the most. Didn't we hear what happened with 2020 with Mark Zuckerberg saying that the Biden-Harris administration was controlling the things that they were allowing to be posted on their platforms, on Meta? Why can't we just sit back and say, hey, this is wrong. We need peace. This is wrong. We need peace. Because it's just so funny how all the morals and everything else comes to play when we're looking to justify something over there. We're going to justify Israel and Palestinians. Let's not even talk about Israel. We're going to justify Palestinians having their homes taken from them. We're going to justify that. That's okay. And then we're going to live in America. We're going to live in America, right? Where we know what has happened with the land that we're living on right here. So the same people that took, So Honest wrote, I believe that Iran remarked about the timeline and refused. You notice how the first one comes across as a strong statement. Then everything else is, well, I believe, or our government's never going to show us all the information. You see what's happening here? I get what you're saying. Both countries acknowledge the 60 days. How do you know? Let me ask you, how do you know what happened in those negotiations? And what even gives America the right to dictate terms in this situation? I'm just asking. Because it's real funny how these 60 days coincide with wasn't it the day after the 60 days? That's when Israel did a strike. Yo. He wrote, based on Iran's response in the media, they clearly knew that there was a 60-day timeline. I'm realizing right now how slavery happened. I am 100% realizing more and more how so many, like I used to sit back and think like, damn, how could people be okay with just enslaving people? Then you realize like, oh, that was happening all over the world. Okay. But still, how could you do that? How could it have happened here? So because this 60-day timeline was reached, I guess we're going to ignore the national intelligence that Tulsi Gabbard put out saying that they're far away from making a nuclear B word. So I guess that 61st day was so critical that the right thing to do was to strike. That's what we're saying. Yeah. They were surprised. I'm surprised that all these people, y'all must be, are y'all part of the Israel intelligence or something? They were all supposed to be negotiating the Sunday before Israel attacked them, though. Shaking my head. Let me ask y'all this. Have y'all ever been in a negotiation where, you know what else? Hold on. This is where I'm gonna call BS on a lot of this. Wasn't there a negotiation where this is what I heard? So I'm gonna preface it. I'm not gonna say it as a statement like some people do. This is what I heard, just based on, like I said, who knows if it's true or not. That there was a deal that Hamas. And like I said, I got to look into this, but something I heard, and I'll never know if it's true or not, right? That Hamas was willing to negotiate with Israel once Israel threatened to go into Gaza or the West Bank or something like that. And they were going to give back the hostages or something like that. And it kind of makes sense because when you think about the hostage situation, Donald Trump went separate from Israel. Remember when he wasn't really communicating with Israel? He had a trip over there, didn't visit Israel, shut off his communications with Israel, and decided to negotiate for that American, the last American that was over there on just behalf of America, not involving Israel. Sometimes people will negotiate and bring a deal to the table that they know the other person is not going to take, just to simply justify doing something like we're seeing. And it seems like this has been like a reoccurring theme. And to me, a lot of people would say, well, you don't know if that's true. Okay. When there's a track record of these type of things happening, and there's a track record of Netanyahu either lying or being wrong, just like he just lied, and Ted Cruz said that he misspoke when he tried to convince the American people to get behind Israel by saying that Iran was behind two attacks. But now, so he misspoke there, but we'll believe everything else that he says. Okay. He was wrong about the weapons of mass destruction, but we'll believe everything now that he has to say. Okay. Is it just me, or does it seem like Netanyahu is doing certain things and telling us one thing, but it actually has a different agenda. And he just uses us as the bully. And I know they like to say big Satan, little Satan. In my opinion, that's just all a finesse. One thing's clear to me that it seems to me that I don't believe that America's running America. It seems to me that Netanyahu has a huge influence on America. And Unc wrote Muammar Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, the list does go on. The list does go on. Of all these things that we're told that when later on we find out that they weren't true, or they said that we needed to get rid of Gaddafi for these reasons, but then we find out, oh, it's because he just wanted his independence. Or it had nothing to do with it. It had something to do with oil. Or George Bush was just trying to revenge some shit that happened with his dad. The only stance I'm taking is I'm not siding with anything. There needs to be peace in America, in my opinion. I hate the fact that we're contributing more to the violence rather than coming up with a solution. Now, people could sit here and say, oh, they had 60 days. Oh, so because they had 60 days to negotiate, now we're going to justify, right? Because that's the word that seems to come up. We're going to justify, let's just start the next war. Yo. You know what bothers me the most is y'all know how I am when it comes to black people playing victims. And this going back to that same situation. I have a lot of convos with, like, I say the same thing to no matter who I'm talking to. There's a lot of white people, and I hate to just say it like that, but it is what it is, who agree with my stance that black people are embracing victimhood too much. But for some reason, the energy seems to shift when it comes to this situation, where we can't see the victimhood that Netanyahu is playing and has been playing for a real long time. I'm going to leave it here. And anybody who, feel free to reach out to me after the show, during the show, whenever. Y'all know how, like, we don't have to have the convo on camera. We can have it off camera. We can, whatever y'all prefer. Whatever y'all prefer. Damn. And some of y'all are Christians. This to me don't seem Christ-like. I'm going to be honest, man. Wasn't Christ willing to sacrifice his own? Never mind. Yeah, I'm a run. Yo, this is what we'll do. We'll do our 45 seconds. You take it however you need to take it. Starting now. All right. You know why I started off today with the manifesting? You know, and I keep focusing on this religious aspect. This is why I think people are full of shit when it comes to religion. I'm being totally honest. I think you're full of shit. And I'm not talking about anybody in particular. But a lot of people claim to be religious. They claim to be righteous. They claim to be spiritual, morally sound. Wouldn't it have been amazing where instead of, after we bomb Iran's nuclear facilities or after just what's going on in Israel striking, wouldn't it have been nice if instead of, like my boy Chris said, with everybody getting amped up to now go to war with Iran, is if the next day, which was a holy day, right? It's supposed to be a Sunday, a holy day, right? Saturday and Sundays, those are the holy days, right? Wouldn't it have been nice to start off the day with a prayer? With people coming together, people meditating. People asking for peace, putting peaceful energy out there instead of I'm pro this, I'm pro that. They should have figured it out in 60 days. Wouldn't it have been nice? Like, I'm not religious. I thought, like, I'm not religious. This is why I just don't take religion seriously. I'll be totally honest. This is why I never take religion, like a lot of these religious folks, seriously. I never do. I just don't. Because in the situations that we're challenged the most, when I look at it, it's always never using the religious principles in order to bring about peace, in order to achieve a more godly state in whatever situation it is. Did we wake up praying for everybody, or did we just say that, hey, I'm praying for peace? This is why I started off the show that way. Y'all know we come here to do elevate on purpose, both from an intentional standpoint as well as elevating our standards in order to become the best leaders we can become, which are needed now more than ever. Okay. Because I always say that, but maybe it just hits a little different today. Do we need leaders to be pro this or pro that? Or do we need leaders to figure out, hey, this is some BS. We've fallen for this trick before. Now it looks like we're about to fall for it again. Any death is wrong. Especially when you look at the amount of deaths that have occurred and the destruction that has occurred in this recent and ongoing situation. I thought that's what godly leadership was supposed to be about. I really thought that. Onward and upward, strength and honor. Y'all get to the bag, decide what's important for you to make sure that you're aligned with your purpose, your personal legend that we always talk about, the impact that you're going to make on the world as we strive for purposeful abundance. Purpose, purpose, purpose. Perhaps that word means a lot more now. What is the purpose of the things that I'm saying? What is it going to lead to? What is the impact that it's going to make? Perspective, right? I got a show with my big bro called Two Peas on a Pod, Perspective and Perseverance. We talk all the time about how important perspective is. We don't know anything what's going on here. We don't know. There's no facts that we're aware of. We know what we're being told. We know what we're being shown. But that should not prevent us or sway us from standing on the principles that our godly religion is supposed to teach us, right? Our unique connection to God. That's what our religious journey is supposed to be. Do we think that God is okay with any of this? And if God is okay with any of this, then perhaps a lot of what I hear people saying about certain groups being the chosen people, maybe that is true. Maybe God likes certain people more than others. I don't know. But I thought that we were just under this umbrella altogether, just humanity. I don't know. And as big bro, big bro, I don't know if you were on earlier, but we talked about you. I didn't even know you were tapping on. But big bro just wrote, better to be killed than to kill. This is who I respect. This is my big bro that I was just telling y'all about. This is the type of faith that I would get behind. It's better to be killed than to kill. A lot of people may look at that and say, yo, that's crazy. That's wild. But for all the Christians, didn't your Lord and Savior believe that as well? Isn't what he just said Christ-like? Better to be killed than to kill? So why are all these Christians, so-called Christians, it seems like to me, leaning in a different direction? Your Christ thought that it was better to be killed than to kill, right? Unless I'm mistaken. I don't know the ins and outs. I've never read the entire Bible, but let's be honest. 99% of y'all Christians haven't either. I appreciate you, big bro, for having this. I appreciate you so much for sharing this, because that's what takes courage. Courage is not dropping drone bombs or bombs on somebody and us talking shit from the United States while people are dying in other areas. But because it doesn't touch us, that's not courage. According to, hold on. And this is not according to me. This is according to who you pledge your life to as your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, right? That's why we celebrate him for this. Wasn't this a key principle in his story? But I know you can come up with probably 100 other scriptures or passages that you can interpret to mean otherwise. So on that note, I pray for peace. I pray for clarity and empathy in this situation, and us standing on principles that bring us together rather than standing on principles that further divide us. That's all I got. Steve wrote, represent the change you want to see in the world. Simple as that. And I hope y'all see that that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to do. I would not have thought like this probably a few years ago, I don't think, but this is how I want to evolve into. This is what I want to evolve into. This is what I think it would be a better place if the world evolved into. So like Queez always says, and like Steve just said, be the change. I'll see y'all soon. And yeah, we'll be tapping in every day this week. Shout out to Anthony's. But tomorrow, we're actually, the reason why all this stuff is off the wall, we're driving it down to Miami. So I don't know exactly what time I'll be able to tap in with y'all, but I'll make sure that I will. Anthony, or Unc wrote, and may God be pleased with you. I appreciate it, Unc. I'll see y'all soon. Ew.